Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you can see my screen here, but I'm going to go through the PowerPoint that I have for you guys using I Have Lived 1,000 Years. So don't forget to join our Flipgrid, and that's where you're going to answer this question of the day. What is your favorite disinfectant, Clorox wipes, or hand sanitizer? I chose hand sanitizer. So today you guys are continuing on with those text-dependent questions so you can comprehend and read I Have Lived 1,000 Years. You can cite textual evidence that strongly supports an analysis of the text, and you can demonstrate command of conventions, standard capitalization, punctuation, and spelling. So double check your writing, your typing, wherever you are going to answer the questions. So I'm going to go through this PowerPoint, and then your activity is to go ahead and read chapters 18 through 21. It's about 18 pages. And then you're only going to choose 2 out of the 4 text-dependent questions, and you'll upload them to Google Classroom where the assignment is. So make sure you have your book because text-dependent questions are those that can only be answered by referring back to the text being read. So what is a text-dependent response? Students must read the text closely and understand what is being read, must restate the question being asked, use transition word, include a piece of evidence and your citation, and then ultimately explain your reasoning on how your evidence answers that question. It's pretty much review for today. This is stuff you guys have been doing all year and more heavily during this book. So I have a couple response or examples of it. So one of the examples was explain how Ellie begins to get used to living at Auschwitz. So first I'm going to restate the question. Ellie begins to get used to living at Auschwitz after the first few days. Transition word, according to the text, amazing how fast one learns. ... Even swallowing the dark daily mush becomes easy. Lying on the hard floor is also easier now. Then I add my citation, Bitten Jackson 94. This shows how Ellie is getting used to eating the food and having to sleep on the floors of the barrack at Auschwitz, and also getting easier. Okay? Lastly, also, if you notice, I did use an ellipses, the 3 ... there, just because I skipped a part in the evidence. So if you end up doing that, don't forget to include your ellipses. Here is a list of the chapters and the individual page numbers. If you want to try and break up your reading, that's perfectly fine. So to restate the question, you should put the question in the answer. And here's a couple more examples. Explain how Ellie begins to get used to living at Auschwitz. Ellie begins to get used to living in Auschwitz after the first few days. The next question, what is Laura's fear as she, oops, I have a typo there, and Ellie leave Auschwitz for the first time? Laura's fear of leaving Auschwitz is about leaving her family behind. Next was you would include your transition word. So transition words and phrases help make a connection between ideas, introduce a piece of evidence, and allow your writing to flow easier. Don't forget, a comma should come after the transition word or phrase. And here's a bunch of different examples according to the text. The text states, according to the author. For example, the author describes, and in this one, you can either put in the author's name or a character's name. So Ellie explains, or Miss Bitten Jackson explains. Either one would be fine. Okay, next is putting in the evidence. Make sure your evidence is relevant information and actually supports your answer. We want you guys to try and pick out what is the best evidence. The quote must be word for word from the text. Quotation marks must go around the part of the text that is being quoted. And a citation should follow in parentheses with the author's last name, the page number and end with a period. Again, here is that example for you from before. So after you have your text evidence, that's where you need to include your reasoning, and it needs to be in your own words. So the reasoning is the part of the response where the students include their own thoughts to explain the evidence and answer the question. So students should use a sentence starter to explain that reasoning. And guys, remember, here is where you do not include a comma. So some sentence starters would be: this shows, this explains, this suggests, this implies, this proves, or this demonstrates. Okay? And then I have another sample response for you guys. What is Laura's fear as she and another one, Ellie, leave Auschwitz for the first time? Laura's fear of leaving Auschwitz is about leaving her family behind. The text states, Mommy does not relax. She is worried about leaving her sister behind. She has diarrhea for 3 days now. Bitten-Jackson, 98 to 99, because it goes to 2 pages. This explains that Laura is afraid of leaving her sister Celia in Auschwitz because she is sick with diarrhea. Okay, so again, that's just a review for you guys about your text-dependent responses. Your activity, again, is to read chapters 18 through 21, pages 101 to 119. This is included in the assignment I gave right before we left school that Thursday, so you might have already done part of this, and that's perfectly fine. I just added on a couple other chapters and questions. So you're going to upload it to Google Classroom. You have the option to type your response, or you can use the print version and upload that response to Google Classroom. As long as you have access to a printer and can do that, that's perfectly fine. As always, email with me any questions you have. I'm going to flip over. Oops, that didn't work. You guys will be able to see the print version and the online version in the assignment that I upload. Okay? Again, if you have any email or questions, please email me.